Hi, welcome back to the Calm Place. Today's episode is called Consistency Doesn't Come from Discipline, It Comes from Compassion. There's something a lot of people believe about consistency. They think it comes from being strict with themselves, from pushing harder, from having more discipline, and from forcing themselves to follow through no matter what. So when they struggle to stay consistent, they assume the problem is that they're not trying hard enough, that they're being lazy or distracted or not committed. But if you look closely, something doesn't quite add up because most people don't struggle with effort, they struggle with sustainability. They can push themselves for a few days, sometimes even a few weeks, but eventually something inside them starts resisting. They get tired, they lose motivation, they fall off, and then they blame themselves. But the problem isn't usually a lack of discipline. It's the way they're treating themselves while they're trying to be consistent. A lot of people approach their goals with pressure. They create rigid expectations. They tell themselves they have to do something every day perfectly, no matter how they feel. And at first, that can create some momentum, but over time, it creates tension. Because the human mind doesn't respond well to constant pressure, it responds to safety. When something feels forced, your brain slowly starts associating it with stress. And anything associated with stress becomes harder to return to. That's when consistency starts breaking down. Not because the person doesn't care, but because your system is trying to protect you from something that feels overwhelming. This is where compassion changes everything. Not in a soft or passive way, but in a way that actually makes consistency possible long term. When someone approaches themselves with compassion, they stop turning every off day into a failure. They stop making everything mean something about who they are, and instead of saying, I messed up, the tone shifts to something more honest. I didn't have the capacity today. That's one shift that can change your entire experience. Because now, instead of shame, there's understanding, and understanding keeps the door open. When the door stays open, it's easier to come back the next day. Consistency isn't about never falling off, it's about how quickly and gently you return. People who are consistent over long periods of time aren't perfect. They just don't turn small breaks into full stops. They don't imagine themselves the moment, they don't abandon themselves the moment something gets hard. They adjust. They rest when needed. They keep the relationship with what they're doing intact because consistency is less like a rule and more like a relationship. And relationships don't survive under constant pressure. They survive when there's flexibility, patience, and trust. That doesn't mean there's no structure. It just means the structure works with you instead of against you. Some days will feel more focused, some days will feel slower, some days might not happen at all, but none of those days erase the direction you're moving in. When someone understands this, everything shifts. They stop starting over, they stop waiting for the perfect version of themselves to finally get it right, and they just keep returning again and again. And over time, that return becomes natural, not forced, not heavy, just part of how they move through life. So consistency doesn't come from being harder on yourself, it comes from being steady with yourself. And steadiness is built through compassion. Because when you're someone who knows how to come back, you don't actually fall off anymore. You just pause and then you continue. Thank you. Love you. Talk to you soon.